Final exam review, part 4. Find the area of a triangle with angle B 115 degrees, side A 11 yards, side C 9 yards. First, draw a picture, then use your formula for area of a triangle that is not a right triangle. And you can use 1/2 times A times C times the sine of B. So this is the formula for area of a triangle when you know two sides and the included angle. So just plug everything in. It's 1/2 times 9 times 11, which is 99, times the sine of 115 degrees, making sure your calculator is in mode degrees. When you multiply all of this together, you get 44.86 square yards. Problem number 30, find a 4th degree polynomial function with real coefficients where -2, 1/3, I are zeros and f of 1 is equal to 80. So first of all, if -2 is a 0, that's a solution, then x plus 2 is a factor. So you write that factor. If 1/3 is a solution, then x minus 1/3 would be a factor, but I don't like to work with fractions, so I'm going to clear the fraction by multiplying by 3, which will clear the 3 here and give us 3x. That's where I'm getting 3x minus 1. Now, if I is a 0, remember there was a rule that I doesn't ever occur alone. It always occurs with -I. So that gives me 2 more factors, x plus I, x minus I. So this would have -I as a 0. This would have +I as a 0. So I have these 4 terms, and then I don't know the coefficient, so I'm going to call it a sub n. And then what I'm going to do is plug in 1 for x, and then set the whole equation equal to 80. So that's what I did here. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 times 1 minus 1 is 2. 1 plus I times 1 minus I FOILed that out, and that's how I got this. Because remember, I squared is equal to -1, so if I have -I squared, that's +1. So I FOIL this out and then plug in x is 1, then work this out. We're still looking for that leading coefficient, and remember, this is what I'm using. This is x, and this is the answer, 80. So simplifying all this, I get that this is 12 times a sub n equals 80. 80 divided by 12, put it in lowest terms, that's 20/3. Then the next thing that I do is I start multiplying all of these factors together. So I multiply x plus 2 times 3x minus 1. I'll multiply that together, so FOIL that out. And then I FOIL this out. So that's how I'm getting this. When I FOIL the first 2, FOIL the second 2. I'm not going to worry about this just yet. I'll hold on to that. Then I have to multiply this times this, 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 this times this. Add up all your like terms, collect everything together, and that all will simplify to this when you multiply all of those out. Now put in your leading coefficient and distribute to all of these terms. And that is how I'm going to get f of x equal to 20x to the 4th plus 5/3 x to the 3rd plus 20x squared over 3 plus 100x over 3 minus 40/3. Problem 31, find the slant asymptote of f of x equals x to the 3rd plus 4 over x squared plus x. To find a slant asymptote, you use long division of polynomials. So long division of polynomials, I'm going to fill in x to the third, but I have 0x squared, 0x plus 4. Then I'm going to divide by x squared plus x. So you ask yourself, how many times does x squared go into x to the third? So x times x squared would equal x to the third. So that's where I'm getting that x from. Then I multiply this x by this, and I get x to the third. Then x times x is x squared. But then remember, at this step, we subtract. So I'm going to subtract both parts. That's how I get negative x squared. Bring down the next term. Then negative 1 times x squared will give me negative x squared. And then negative 1 times x will give me negative x, but then I subtract the negative, and that's how I get this positive. Subtract the negative, that's how I get this positive. So then that gives me a remainder, but the remainder doesn't matter. The only thing that matters in getting the slant asymptote is this. So don't worry about the remainder. It's just this that I'm concerned about. I'm going to set up an equation, y equals x minus 1. And that is your slant asymptote, regardless of what the remainder is. And the last problem, find the standard form of the equation of an ellipse if the foci are at 0, negative 2, and 0, 2, and the vertices are at 0, negative 3, and 0, 3. So because I've got 0 for the x coordinate here, that means my major axis is going to be the vertical axis. So I should expect a bigger number to be under y squared. So the general equation starts off like this, and you just have to figure out what are we going to put in the denominators. So square the 3, and that gives you 9. That's how I know what to put here. And remember, this number should be bigger than this because the foci is always on the major axis. To calculate this number, I just have to square the 3 is 9, square the 2 is 4, subtract it, and that will give you 5. So that's what goes here. And then that is the equation in standard form of the ellipse.